Well, ladies and gentlemen, I must say it's one of those days where making videos is just, well, to be honest, soul destroying. And the specific story that I'm going to talk about today is just, to be honest, just tiresome. But before I get onto the main video of today, can I yet again remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Help me on my journey towards 200,000 subscribers, because sometimes making these videos just really suck. So what exactly sucks? Well, it's Julius Malema's case, the firearms-related case, and the pre-sentencing fallout. Now, Julius Malema, for those of you who don't know, was convicted in October 2025 on 5 firearm-related charges, stemming from the EFF's 5th anniversary rally in 2018. Now, charges included the unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, discharging a firearm in a built-up area, failure to take reasonable precautions, and reckless endangerment. Now, the case originated from a viral video which we all saw of Julius shooting what looked to be like an AR-style rifle at the rally, and a complaint was filed by AfriForum. This is after the police said basically they weren't going to press charges. Now, Malema's former bodyguard and co-accused was acquitted. Now, during the pre-sentencing, a social worker testified that imprisoning Malema would create a void in communities he serves. I don't really know what that void is. We can talk about that in a minute. Now, she said that Malema is the sole breadwinner for his family and that jail would cause financial and social harm. She warned that a sentence over 12 months without an option of a fine would disqualify him from Parliament. And she claimed that Malema expressed regret, and again, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Though he maintains the firearm was a replica and a toy and plans to appeal. Now, AfriForum argued that the firearm offences can carry up to 15 years imprisonment, and said that Malema should prepare for jail. Now, Malema has publicly stated that he's not afraid of prison and called the case politically motivated. So let's actually look at whether Malema's actions were what the social worker says, because I have my doubts. And I'm going to show you why I have my doubts in a minute. So firstly, he immediately left the court case and saying, kill the boer, kill the farmer in the normal way. You know, what the media says is just like protest songs. In fact, have a watch.
Shoot to kill, kill a man. Shoot to kill, Namasa. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. I repeat, kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor.
Now, Malema has in the past actually said that these aren't just protests. He says that they're war cries. Yep, war cries. Don't take my word for it. Watch what he said himself.
Why are you offended by black people singing? In happiness we sing. In sadness we sing. We love singing because that's how we comfort ourselves. But if you listen to those songs properly, they are actually not songs. Those are war cries. Those carry a message. We are trying to educate through song that people come to understand what the revolution represents.
Now, you must remember that Malema himself said that you only have to worry about him going out and committing genocide when he fires actual firearms on stage. And so, you know, he actually fired a real firearm on stage. So do we believe him or not? Have a watch what he said.
The next part of the song has you firing guns and saying pow, pow. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that?
Chants, by their own nature, they agitate. They are used for mobilization. They are used for agitation. They are used to make sure that the youth become interested in the struggle. And then that's why there will be sounds like that. But to show that there's nothing literal, even the shooting of the gun is not the real gun. So if it was everything meant in a literal sense, we could have taken guns and shot them in the air, the way we are doing with our hands.
Would you stand on a stage with a gun and shoot it in the air?
Come again?
Would you stand on a stage with a real gun and shoot it in the air?
You are trying your luck.
I'm asking a simple question.
You are trying your luck now.
In what sense?
You are trying your luck because, my Lord, this question is asking me about is before court. It's on another court. He's trying his luck now.
So the EFF protested, well, all around the country against Malema's possible pre-sentencing. In fact, you can actually watch them protesting yourself. Have a watch. However, you see, parts of the problem actually came out in the protests that were occurring, with some individuals swapping "kill the Boer" now for, well, just flat out "kill the white." Yep, they were singing "kill the white," with some individuals even walking around with white heads on spikes. And yep, that's okay now. In fact, have a watch. Now, don't forget that when Julius left the court, he sang "kill the Boer" on stage. So it looks like a lot of remorse there, isn't it? Now, this even led some individuals to continue protesting on, well, the aeroplane that carried them to and from the event. And this is causing some individual to ask why these individuals were allowed to do this in contravention with the Civil Aviation Act. Now, I myself have that question. Why was this allowed to occur? Yep, protesting now even on planes. And you can see the individuals are even sitting there thinking FML, because I'd be thinking FML. Now, in the usual retarded manner, you have South Africa's brain-dead white liberals who said that they were also protesting for the EFF by mobilizing their entire family and putting them in EFF outfits. In fact, one such example did this. Have a watch. Yes, this is what we're coming to, legitimate protesting, because apparently that also occurred in Melbourne and in Britain, where again, brain-dead individuals were saying hands off Malema and the EFF. I don't know where they found these morons, but whatever rock it is, can they send them home? But you see, the problem is that this whole idea behind Julius shooting rifles is actually what they are teaching to their kids, because many individuals are seeing. Julius indoctrinates the children in his party to act just like him. In fact, have a watch.
Away to
Julius Julius
Now, you got to understand, this isn't normal, wholesome behavior. This isn't the way you grow the future of your country. This is the way you destroy the future of your country, with retardation. Now, typical fashion, I'm sure you can guess. Julius busted bus supporters to East London for his pre-sentencing appearance. The influx, as I've just shown you, caused significant disruptions. Schools warned parents to keep their children at home. The University of Fort Hare allowed its staff to work remotely. Road closures were implemented in the CBD, and additional SAPs and law enforcement units were deployed. Now, Buffalo City Metro cited public safety concerns and traffic concerns. And having watched all of the videos I've just shown you, I think they were legit. Like, there's a reason they did this.
It was 2%. And the thing is, guys, I got 2% because it's our.
Now, the EFF's leadership framed the case as political persecution, and the EFF Secretary General made confrontational remarks about the court and the magistrate. Malema's legal team confirmed that they would appeal any sentence imposed. So, apparently, according to the social worker, he has remorse while simultaneously making disparaging remarks against minorities, the court, and the magistrates. I'm buying this. Like, what retard is actually buying this? In any case, talking of retards and what people are buying, let's move on to Cyril Ramaphosa, because Cyril Ramaphosa warned that the ANC's upcoming local government elections will be a challenging contest, whatever that means. Now, he acknowledged that declining public trust and poor electoral performance since 2024 means that come 2026, well, in terms of the local government elections, they're probably going to get slaughtered. Now, he acknowledged that declining public trust and poor electoral performance since 2024 means that come 2026 and the municipal elections then, the ANC is likely to get its ass kicked. Now, he says in order for it to not get its ass kicked, there's certain fixes that need to occur at a local governmental level. And this includes fixing the Auditor General's findings, the political interference that occurs at local government areas, and the tender corruption that occurs. Apparently, if we fix those, we're all okay. And he blamed the tender system and factional deployments for municipal failure. Now, the ANC announced plans to remove underperforming political appointees to regain credibility. Well, that would pretty much be all of them, with the idea to redeploy leadership that is committed to stricter monitoring, evaluation, and consequence management. So I got to be honest to say, anybody listening to that doesn't think, oh yeah, ANC, when they listen to that. Now, following all of that garbage, to be frank, the former Finance Minister Trevor Manuel cited both Donald Trump and the ANC's government at Davos, and he described Trump's speech, which I covered numerous times last week, as vulgar, erratic, and destabilizing to the global order. Now, Trevor Manuel said that the ANC had adopted a Trump-like leadership pathology, singling out Gwede Matashe. Yep, apparently Gwede Matashe is now, well, the same as Donald Trump. Said no one ever. Apart from Trevor Manuel. And he said that intolerance of dissent has broken the ANC and weakened government capacity. Now, Manuel criticized the lack of discipline in the military and security services. This is obviously following Iran, a failure to act on assassinations and whistleblower killings, which obviously led to the criminal capture investigations, and the absence of consequence management, which Ramaphosa just told us he's definitely going to have those in his leadership because that's the way they're going to win in 2026. And he warned that ongoing instability and impunity undermine investor confidence. He also said that as an experienced ANC figure that he had been sidelined. So let's actually look at that quick claim around investor confidence. Well, according to the news, sub-Saharan Africa is projected to grow at 4.6% this year. Now, if you remove South Africa, which was barely having any growth at all, we're actually looking at about a 5.5% growth rate. All this whilst South Africa is having a growth rate of like 1 or less %. Aren't we doing well? Now, if you watched my video from yesterday, you would also have seen the debacles around South Africa's abstination against the condemning of the Iranian clampdown on protesters. Now, the DA's stooge leader, John Steenhuisen, called for an urgent GNU foreign policy lachotla because he said that South Africa's foreign policy lacks coherence and has caused serious diplomatic damage. Now, he criticized the conflicting positions within the GNU, and the inconsistent claims of non-alignment, and also the fallout over Iran's role in the naval exercises. Now, Steenhuisen said that South Africa risks losing strategic partners through self-inflicted blunders, and yeah, that's pretty much the case. This also comes at a time when the Investec CEO said that South Africa must urgently repair its anti-American image, because the CEO warned that investor sentiment is fragile and that South Africa's US relations are crucial to trade and growth. And he referenced the tariff threats on South African exports and the uncertainty around AGOA. Now, he urged pragmatic engagement with the US and avoidance of ideological positioning, which, let's be honest, the ANC can't do. And let's actually go on to that. I wish I was joking, but an ANC-aligned group marched to the US consulate in Cape Town in support of Venezuela. Now, it's also important to understand that they were accompanied by the pro-Palestinian crowd. You're noticing how this all comes together. Now, if you listen to the news enough, you'll notice these guys just have an axis, a group of powers, and they all just seem to kind of congeal around each other. Now, the US consulate refused to formally accept their memorandum, and the protest organizers claimed that the memo was left outside. Now, the memorandum accused the US of violating Venezuela's sovereignty, attempting regime change, and using sanctions as economic warfare. Now, the incident has highlighted the growing tension between the ANC and the US. So, despite everybody saying, guys, please be logical, please just work it out with the US, it's not what the ANC are doing. In fact, the ANC shows itself incapable of doing this. Now, a further ANC stooge organization is the trade union, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, which also marched to the US consulate in Sandton. Yep, they also marched there, demanding the end to US aggression in Venezuela and demanding the release of the President Maduro and his wife by the US. You can have a watch here.
Occasion is a protest march against President Donald Trump, US government violation of international law, human rights, national security, the invasion of Venezuela, and the kidnapping of Venezuela President Maduro and his wife Celia Flores. Introduction and identity of the protesters. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, represent hundreds of thousands of organized workers and part of the broader South African and international working class movement hereby submit this memorandum of demands to the government of the United States of America. NUMSA is a militant, independent, internationalist trade union committed to the defense of the working class, labor and political rights, national sovereignty, international law, human rights, the right of people to self-determination, socialism. We delivered this memorandum following a lawful and very peaceful protest march to the United States Consulate in Sandton. The purpose of this memorandum is to formally condemn the illegal U.S. military invasion of Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
So really what we can take from all of this is that the South African government is completely retarded, like beyond all imagination. The ANC itself and all of its little proxies, all of its little splinter organizations are just retarded. Now, because of the whole stance that South Africa has taken, remember DA says that we need to have this new GNU and we need to realign the policy. Well, this all comes after South Africa abstained in the UN vote against Iran. Now, the DA has accused the ANC of selective morality after South Africa failed to support the session. And the DA has said that this contradicted the GNU stated commitment to human rights, and they criticized South Africa's position, saying that it damages our international credibility. And yet, the DA are still in coalition with the ANC. So who cares what they have to say? If you really have this much of an issue with the ANC and their foreign policy, resign, take a principled position. But I don't see them doing that. Anyway, that's the news of today. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and until tomorrow, bye.